Okay, the latest transfer news from Man City. Harry Maguire is obviously still in the frame, a move from Leicester, and we'll talk a little bit about that. There's also the rumours regarding Leroy Sane leaving, and I hear that Bayern Munich are very interested there, so we'll have a little look at that one. But the one that most interests me is really Ligt of Ajax. Now, all the talk of him has been going to Barcelona. There's even been talks of Man United being interested, but it's been very quiet on the Man City front. Now, I think there is a possibility that De Ligt could still go to Man City. I think behind the scenes, if Pep Guardiola's looking at the centre-halves that are out there on the market to replace Vincent Kompany, there aren't too many world-class centre-halves, and they don't come along that often. Now, a 19-year-old like De Ligt, with the pedigree he's got, has got to be something that Man City are interested in. In terms of De Ligt's agent, he's definitely touting him around there. Now, everybody thinks that his agent is basically just using all the other clubs to barter up his wages, barter up his transfer fee. But I think at the end of the day, Barcelona have made it clear they're not prepared to go any further than what they've already offered, and that deal hasn't been accepted. Ajax are saying that it won't be a question of we're going to trade him off from one club to another to get the highest price. I think they're pretty much said the price they're accepting is 65-70 million. So that is well within Man City's target range, and with a player of De Ligt's quality, I wouldn't be surprised to see. Now, there's been a couple of people talking about that today, ex-pros, and there's, it's just a little bit quiet from Man City's front. That I anticipate that there is something going on behind the scenes. They're obviously looking at Harry Maguire, there's no secret there. Now, Harry Maguire, it's come out this morning that Leicester don't want to let him go, which is obvious. When you're negotiating a transfer, you're not going to say, yes, we're happy to let him go. But they're putting a 90 million price tag on him. And, he's a great player, Harry Maguire. He's comfortable on the ball, he's comfortable under pressure. He can bring the ball out of defence. I think, if anything, that's one of his weaknesses, and I think that's something that Pep Guardiola would tighten up and probably play him more as a traditional holding centre-half rather than one that strolls up the pitch. But 90 million is a lot of money for Harry Maguire. So that really does bring De Ligt into the frame when you're looking at those sort of numbers. Now, there's another centre-half that I feel Man City could look at, and that's Samuel Umtiti from Barcelona. Now, he's a French international. He was a regular in the Barcelona side up until this year. He played alongside PK. He's got good pedigree. He's mid-20s. The problem with Umtiti is that he picked up an injury last year, lost his place in the side, and there's a little bit of concern over whether he's got his fitness back. So there's that little bit of risk there with a player like that, but he is world class. Now, he would probably be available for somewhere in the 50 million. So there's three players there. There's De Ligt, there's Harry Maguire, there's Samuel Umtiti, who I think are three world class centre halves. And it'll be a little bit like a jigsaw, depending on who goes where. Might depend on where the other one fits in. Man City, Premier League champions, they're in the Champions League again for next year. They're very desirable club for any player in the world to come to. So don't be surprised if they don't nab De Ligt at the last minute. But if not, there's Harry Maguire, Samuel Umtiti there to look at. Now, the other person that Man City have been involved in with transfer news is Leroy Sane. Now, I think he's a terrific player. I did a video just recently about the top 10 fastest Premier League players, and last year he was the fastest Premier League player recorded by Opta. This year he's dropped to 4th, but he's blisteringly quick. He's young, he's 23 years old, and when you have a look at his stats, he's got some good stats for the last 2 or 3 years. He contributes well with the goals. He's in the teens with the goals. I think 16 goals this year. 18 assists, and again last year he was 14 goals, 19 assists. So he's a terrific player. He's fallen out of favour a bit with Pep Guardiola this season. And I watched a couple of games where he came on as sub, and the thing that struck me, I didn't watch the game too much, I was just watching him, and he looked absolutely drained of confidence at time. His passes were going a little bit astray. They just weren't quite making it. He didn't look to have those confidence to run into the box and make that killing cross or killing pass. Pep Guardiola, he was on the same side as Pep Guardiola, and Pep Guardiola's body language wasn't great. It really didn't look a great relationship to me. They looked like there was a little bit of butting of heads there. Now, there's no doubt he's world class. Pep Guardiola's demands everything from his players, and rightly so. You're Premier League champions. You're expected to go on and win the Champions League, and unfortunately they failed on that this year. But he demands the very, very best from his players. And Sane is just a little bit short of confidence. Now, they could quite easily pick up. There's rumours that Bayern Munich are offering 70 million for him, and you've got to ask whether that would be good business for Man City. And I potentially think it could be. I think they bought in for 45 million in 2016. So financially, it makes good business. Yes, he's the sort of guy that you'd like to keep in your squad, and you'd really like him in your starting lineup. But you've got Raheem Sterling, who's a very similar player. Murray's on the other side. I think he'll go to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich are a great fit. Obviously, Sané's a German. He comes from Schalke originally, the Schalke football club. Bayern Munich, they've lost Aaron Robben this year. They've lost Ribery at the end of the season. And for them, Leroy Sane is absolutely perfect for them on the left side as an attacking midfielder. And they will push hard to get him. And the talk is that £70 million has already been put on the table for him. I think now it's down to really whether Man City can persuade Sane that he's a regular in the side. I think, looking at how he was at the back end of last season and the things I'm hearing, I think he'll go to Bayern Munich. I think purely it'll be a player-driven decision and not a manager-driven decision. But I expect Leroy Sané to go to Bayern Munich. In terms of the central defence, I think Pep Guardiola had earmarked Harry Maguire quite early in his plans. He probably thought Ligt was a done deal at Barcelona. So I think, don't be surprised to see Man City nick Ligt at the last minute. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But Harry Maguire was the one he'd earmarked from an early stage, I feel. And it was no surprise that when Man City beat Leicester 1-0 at the Etihad, Pep Guardiola was on the pitch straight to Harry Maguire and lavishing praise on him. And I think I said in another video about Harry Maguire, flattery gets you everywhere. And when you're Pep Guardiola and Man City, flattery will get you everywhere. So Harry Maguire is the one he's earmarked. I think if there's a sign that the door's open for Ligt, he'll switch and go for him. But it's going to be a little bit of a jigsaw with the centre halves this year. So watch this space. We'll keep you informed, obviously, as soon as we hear the latest. Thanks for watching.